Hello, today is Sunday, December 4th, 2011. My name is AJ Goldsby. I'm a life master from Pensacola, Florida, and I'm coming to you today to bring you my November game of the month. And this is a month from the recently completed tournament, the Tal Memorial, and it was played in Moscow, Russia. And this game is between Hikaru Nakamura and Vasily Ivanchuk, or Vasily Ivanchuk, as I believe is the correct pronunciation of his name. But this game is a very strong game. I chose this game for several reasons. For one reason, it was between two top 10 grandmasters, and another good reason that I chose it was because black won. I like to once in a while to have a game where black wins instead of the monotony of always seemingly examining a game where white's the winner. And also, too, I chose this game because it features the Grunfeld defense, and I played the Grunfeld defense for 20 or 30 years of my chess career. For many, many years, that was the only opening, really, that if you played pawn to queen 4 against me, it was almost certain that I was going to respond with the Grunfeld defense. But anyway, on to the game. The game starts out d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, d5. Of course, this is the Grunfeld defense, and rather Ernst Grunfeld was the originator of this defense, and it was right after the turn of the 20th century, back in the early 1900s, that he came up with the idea back during the hypermodern revolution. It's to fianchetto and then play d5. And believe it or not, I've read quite a bit about this defense. I have many books, literally probably about two or three dozen books on this opening, not counting general opening references like MCO, and also not counting pamphlets. But I have many books on this opening, and Grunfeld himself actually stopped believing this opening. He became later to believe that this opening was basically unsound, and it wasn't until much later that grandmasters began to play it and analyze it that it began to become it was one of Bobby Fischer's favorite openings, and Smyslov too. Vasily Smyslov, one of the world champions. He was a very strong player, played several matches for the world championship with Botvinnik in the 1950s. He also endorsed this opening. But anyway, this is a very good opening. Kasparov has played it, and many of the world's top players have played it. But anyway, going on to the game, white plays bishop f4, and this is actually like a classical system. It was one of the very first, in fact, I think it was the very first system that was employed against the Grunfeld in Becker Grunfeld. In my webpage, which I will provide a link for when the webpage is ready. I will provide a link for the video. There's a section of the video right below the video. It says show more. If you'll click on that, and when the webpage is finished formatting, I will provide a link for my webpage under that. And also, too, I wanted to also cover while I'm talking about my webpage, I'm a little unique as compared to the many other annotators on YouTube. They try to basically analyze a game when they bring you the game. And my focus, basically, when I try to bring you a game, is trying to be a commentator and just tell you some things and just generally inform you and like take you by the hand and just guide you through the game and show you the game and maybe even entertain you a little bit. And the cold hard analysis is on my webpage, and I can always refer you to that. So I just wanted to point that out. That's my way of doing a video as compared maybe to some of the other persons on the internet that are doing their videos. But anyway, I will make sure that I provide a link to my webpage when it is finished under the video. Again, click on the section that says show more. Getting back to the chess game, white plays bishop to f4 here. You can see the bishop's on f4. This is a good post for the bishop. White's going to play e3. The bishop's developed outside the pawn chain. The dark squares are affected rather. Black plans on playing bishop to g7. It's very important that white controls squares like e5. He can play knight f3, and he'll have a very good grip on the e5 square. He'll have two pieces and his d4 pawn pointing at that square. And also he can bring a rook to c1, and then later the bishop's threatening either directly or indirectly. White'd be threatening, like after castling, ideas like c takes d and then knight b5, basically winning material if black hasn't prepared for that. So this is a very good system. It has a lot of teeth. It's not the most popular system currently, but it seemed to be enjoying a type of a renaissance. In fact, it seems that when I was coming up in chess, that the standard was one line like the exchange variation, was pretty much what all the big boys, all the grandmasters played. But today, I think really what you're seeing is that just about every line is being played. You see a much more greater diversity, and of greater complexity in the choice of opening systems today. Every grandmaster seems to have his own favorite line and specializes in one or two lines. There's just too much theory to basically try to play everything. But anyway, Nakamura played bishop f4. Like I said, this is not a bad system at all, and it's covered in all of the opening books. And one of the ideas, too, of bishop f4 is possibly play an early rook c1, and what this might do is actually discourage black from playing his c5 move. And this is black's critical break, c7, c5. Regardless of this bishop on f4, black must get this in. But anyway, continuing on with the game, bishop g7, 5e3, black castles, white plays rook c1. And that's not the primary move there. I think the critical move probably for white is knight f3 here, developing the knight to f3. We'll just quickly show you that move. Knight f3, that's the main line. But here in the actual game, white plays his rook to the c1 square. And you might ask yourself, why did white do that? The normal rule of thumb when you're teaching a beginner or a lower rated player is to teach them to develop their kingside pieces first, and then only later after they're castled do you develop the queenside. And I would say that's probably correct in the majority of most opening systems. However, today, this is Nakamura playing, and Nakamura is an extremely aggressive player. He's a risk taker. He likes to try different things, and he's definitely not, I would say, your run-of-the-mill grandmaster. And he's already, of course, now in the top 10 in the world. He's number 10 in the world, or number 9 anyway, but he's a very good player. He's shot up a great deal in the last 2 to 3 years. And he's prone to try just about anything. I mean, of course, Nakamura was famous for playing an early queen sortie, for a long time in some openings. He'd play e4, e5, and then play his queen out like queen h5 on the second move. So Nakamura is definitely not one to be constrained or bound by opening theory. He will try almost anything. And this move is not unsound, not in the least. It's just a little bit different than maybe what the run-of-the-mill grandmaster, the average grandmaster, might try. And rook c1's not a bad move. It's hitting the c7 square. White's trying to discourage black from playing his critical c7, c5 pawn break, which black must play probably no matter what white plays. But getting on with the game, again, the main line, the critical continuation, according to theory, according to all the chess engines, all the chess books that I have, is knight f3 here. But continuing on with the game, black plays d takes c4. This is a somewhat rare continuation. Not totally unknown, has been played before, but not a lot of experience, especially not at the top level. There's about 30 or so games in the online database, the ChessBase online database, with this continuation. Bishop takes c4, knight bd7. Now here we've reached a critical position. Here white should, of course, just play knight f3 and castle kingside. There's no doubt that white's just at least a little bit better here, plus over equals. Some programs even evaluate it as plus over a line. I think that's a little too optimistic. The average consensus of theory is that white's solidly but a little bit better here, plus over equals. And I would say that basically, white's better, but it's not an overwhelming advantage. And of course, Nakamura, now he likes to try things. Again, he's going to do something unusual here. And I don't think it's that he wants to play unsound or he's trying to play bad chess. It's just he's trying to psychologically get in his opponent's head. He's trying to put his opponent off balance. And I'm sure that what happened was he did not expect a continuation that was played in the game. But here, white, the correct move here, of course, would be for white to play his knight to f3. And certainly white would have a solid advantage. Here, white plays knight b5. This has got to be a dubious or even an inferior concept, maybe even a flat-out question mark, but it's certainly not a good move. And it's no doubt that knight f3 would have been a better move here. And like I said, I'm sure that whatever Nakamura saw over the board or saw in his pregame analysis, that whatever his opponent did, Ivanchuk did here, simply he had not anticipated that. Obviously, this is a violation of the standard opening rule of thumb that you don't move a piece twice in the opening. And also here, the knight can just simply get kicked back. c6 is pretty much forced. The next few moves are all best. Bishop c7, queen e8, knight c3, and then black plays e5 here. Now this is the critical break because now white could have played bishop d6 here, and this would have won him an exchange for white. And it's really curious to me that Ivanchuk did not, Nakamura didn't go ahead and challenge Ivanchuk's conception here the critical line for white would have been to challenge him and play bishop to d6 here, and basically say to black, well, if you're going to sack an exchange, I'm going to take it and make you prove that your idea and prove that your sacrifice is sound. Nakamura backed away from the sacrifice, and in so doing, I think basically he hands the initiative over to white. So basically this e5 move, if this is sound, and if white truly cannot play bishop to d6 here, then basically you would have to come to the conclusion that this entire opening, the way that white has played the opening, has been incorrect. And continuing on with the game anyway, white didn't play. He just plays d takes e5. And this was played after reflection, according to the official website. This was played after a reflection of about 10 to 20 minutes. But apparently Nakamura felt like this was forced and that he couldn't snatch the exchange. And if this is true, like I said, now the initiative is handed solidly over to black. Black plays knight takes e5. Of course, this hits the c4 square here. And now basically white is going to be forced to retreat. He's got to play bishop to e2. And two things now are obvious to me is basically that white hasn't played the opening correctly. I mean, and the other thing is that black has completely taken over the initiative here. Continuing on with the game, black plays bishop f5, and white must finish his development here. So knight f3, knight takes f3 check, bishop takes f3, 14, rook c8. Now this was a good move, and I haven't found any other of the online commentators, not on the official website, not on the chess-based website, and I've also Googled this game and tried to look at just about all the articles on this game. No one that I have seen has even commented that black could have played, rather than rook c8, the engines all choose queen c8 here. Both Fritz, Houdini, Shredder, Deep Jr., and several other very strong, powerful programs choose this move here, queen c8. And the main line analysis here, I'll just give you some analysis by Fritz 12, is bishop g3, rook d8, queen b3, bishop e6. These moves are all forced according to the computer. Queen a4. Now black plays knight d5. And black is very much clearly better here. There's no doubt that black is solidly better in this position. Excuse me while I say that. But anyway, black is much better, and this is a bigger edge maybe, and it occurs earlier than it did in the actual game. And I think that that's extremely important, that that would have been an improvement over the actual game. But in the game, black plays, going back to the game, he simply plays rook c8 here. And white must retreat. Playing bishop d6 at this point would just be a blunder. If bishop to d6 here, just rook d8, depending on the d file. And according to the computers, white's is completely lost. So that's just an impossible move at this point. And white's forced to withdraw his bishop g3. And now black plays knight e4. And this is probably the simplest move here at this point. The machines actually like the move. Fritz and Houdini seem to like the move knight d7 here. Several other computer programs, Crafty, the strongest version of Crafty, Stockfish, and several other programs. I tested a wide variety of engines here, and they all seem to like, all of them sooner or later look at this move knight d7 here, and that's the first choice of many strong engines. Like I said, Fritz and Houdini and several others. And I analyzed that move pretty deeply, and I would have to say that it comes to a very unclear position, just a position, in my opinion, that is not at all that great for black. I'll just briefly look at that. Knight d7, bishop d6, rook d8, 17, queen b3, knight e5, bishop takes e5, bishop takes e5. Couldn't take the exchange there. Again, these are all moves that are forced according to the computer. Queen takes b7, rook b8, queen takes a7, rook b2, rook takes b2, white castles queen e6. And this is unclear. I mean, here already black's a pawn down, and I don't see a forced win for black. And, if I've got to take a side here, black has the two bishops. He has very active play, but I'm not at all sure that it's worth a pawn here. So I attend the evaluation of just unclear at this point. And I'm going to pretty much have to draw my analysis to a close here because I'm running out of time. And what I'm going to do is I will pick the game up. Just note the position here after white plays 15, knight g3, and black played knight e4. And I'll make a part 2 of this video. And in part 2 of this video, we'll continue this game and pick the game up from black's last move, 15, knight e4. Thanks for watching. Be sure to watch the second part of this video, and have a great day.